Hi, hello, welcome to the Woman Experience with Goretti. So I am sharing. We're going to start in about a minute or two. You know how it is. Please take a minute or two and share on your different platforms so we get other people to join us or many more people to join us, and then we'll kick it off. Thank you. Hi, Marie Ale. Hi, sis. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys so much. So we'll be starting in about a minute or two. I'm just going to wait for the numbers to pick up, and please, please, please do your best to support us by sharing. I'll leave you with Tizi Panchak Goretti. Did you guys know I had a song with my name? Listen.
Sing, sing, sing. I'm falling for you, Mara. I'm missing you, Mara. Loving you, Mara. Baby, don't make so take my heart, oh. Don't make so leave me lonely, yes. You don't know what for me. And if you enter trouble, baby, I would fight for you. I would die for you. Yeah. Oh. Some confiance, some carison, some lasham, padue, down and give me padue, don't give up. Some confiance, some carison, some lasham, padue, down and give me padue, don't give up. I know you did to love again, I know you did to trust another man, but girl, I got you, my baby. I know you did to love again, I know you did. Yeah, to trust another man, but girl,
Hello, good evening. Thank you guys so much for joining, for being on time. And I've seen quite a few of you sharing, so I appreciate that very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all your support. Welcome to the Goretti the Woman Experience. I'm going to have to change these names one of these days. Welcome to the Woman Experience with me, Goretti, your host for tonight, and you, my second guest. Thank you very much. And for those who are new, because I see that every guest brings a new following. So for those who are new to the Woman Experience, what we are creating or building here is a judgment-free knowledge via experience community. So that's what we do here every Wednesdays and Fridays at 8 p.m. British Summer Time and Cameroon time. That's what we do here. And so for all those who are joining us for the first time, you're very welcome. Today we're going to be talking about postpartum depression, but not just postpartum depression. We have a doctor here. She's a neonatologist. She's gonna tell me the other one, Perry something logist, who is going to educate us and give us this, tell us about the symptoms. Basically, just give us a general, complete, whole knowledge on childbirth, child rearing, and postpartum depression. So if this is something that you can relate to, if this is something that you know anybody who has experienced this, please do share this link to them, or pick up the phone, send them a message, or call them and tell them, hey, today we have a professional in the field who is going to be helping us to educate us, or for some of us, re-educate us on what postpartum depression is. So I'm not going to take too much of your time because it's 5 minutes past the hour. I'm just going to bring the very beautiful Dr. Raissa Fobi. Hi, Doc.
I'm ready.
How are you?
I am well. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Thank you for offering to come. I was so happy, because we don't always get, like I was saying in my opening, the woman experience is a community that we're still building. We're still relatively young. And what I'm trying to do is include people from all walks of life. I don't want to keep it very professional or not necessarily knowledgeable. I'm just trying with what we're trying to do here together with you and the guests is just build that community where most of the times we're going to learn through people's experiences, because again, experience always is the best teacher.
Yep. Sharing, man, because if I've learned the hard way, why do you have to go through the hard way to learn it? I might as well share that experience. Yes.
Exactly. So that's what our community is about. And so your guests are here. Do you want to say good evening to your guests?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat about postpartum depression with you guys and try to answer some of your questions. I think Raissa already introduced me. I'm Raissa Fobi. I'm a neonatologist, and I think what you were trying to say was a perinatologist.
Perinatologist.
So I will, of course, talk about what the mom's experiences with depression, and I'll sort of highlight what the baby's experience of mom's depression is. And yeah, I'm excited to dig in.
Great. So before I'll dive straight into it. In my research on this topic, irrespective of what I knew previously, I had to go try and get some actual statistics, and they were quite scary, to be honest, because in the UK, it says 1 in 10 women of all races in the UK suffers from some form of depression.
Yeah.
1 in 10 women.
Puts that number at 10 to 20% of women, generally speaking, of all races, will suffer depression. And that number is actually worse in developing countries.
Yes.
High as 50% in some countries. So yeah. It's scary. It really is scary.
Very, very scary. But then understandable, especially given society, and for those of us who are immigrants in the West, given how life is here for us, the lack of support, of community support in most cases, and the struggles that we go through individually. But before I even go into all of that, Doc, I want you to try and define, as if you're not just define, but explain postpartum depression as if you're explaining it to a 5-year-old.
Thank you.
It's very important so my brain can get it.
No challenge at all. So depression in itself is really just, it's a mood disorder, meaning something wrong with feeling. And we won't really talk about the cause of it because there are many things that can all play together to cause it. Yeah. But the final effect of it is an abnormal mood, which is typically sad and low mood. That sort of just persists, and it results in you losing interest in life, and can actually interfere with your functions, your daily functions, waking up, brushing your teeth, eating, sleeping, interacting with humans, things like that. So other humans. So it's a sad mood that results in you losing interest in all the things that you typically found interesting, and interferes with the way you function.
So,
So
Doc, in common parlance, or is that not just stress?
stress, yes, stress can result in depression, and stress really is actually you something that you're very interested in, you being anxious about it. So it's a little different. But if you have chronic stress and if you have multiple things that are stressing you, you can
Mhm.
eventually become depressed from those things. Yes. So it is a risk factor.
So when you hear, so I think maybe when we hear of newborn mothers saying, "Oh, I'm so stressed, oh, I'm so stressed," is
Mhm.
it worth picking that up as, okay, it could be something more?
Oh yes, I can. Yeah, I think so. Because there is women finding the words to express yourself doesn't
Mhm.
come easy to everyone, right?
Mhm.
And not knowing that what you're feeling is normal, you may not necessarily know how to express it. Um,
Mhm.
Newborn moms, in fact, why even newborn moms? In all mothers, right? We have this ideal in our head where you have to be you have to be this mom, you have to, work hard, you have to cook meals, you have to make sure the children are clean, they're sleeping well. Like we give ourselves all these 10,000 different pressure points to live up to, um,
Mhm.
such that you feel like you're failing if you're not doing them. And
Oh yeah.
feeling of sadness or the feeling of um, not meeting up to that, you think, well, it just comes with, it's natural. It comes with the par for the course for being a mom. Um,
Yeah.
to a certain extent, it's not.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because when you're pregnant, right? Especially as a first-time mother, I'm going to use myself as an example. When you're pregnant, all you hear about is, oh, how you always hear about, oh, you're so blessed to even get pregnant, and how wonderful and all rosy is going to be when baby's born, and everything is just going to be perfect, and nobody tells you that if couple of hours after you've pushed that baby out, you're not even interested in that baby. You just want to sleep,
Yeah.
from all of that stress. And nobody prepares you for the mental difficulties that you will face. Because not all of us just naturally bond with our babies,
Yeah. No,
right?
you're completely right. The assumption that a society and sometimes even families place on new mothers is you should instantly be this mom who loves her child the minute
Mhm.
the child comes out of your body or the minute you find out you're pregnant. To some people it comes naturally, to some others it doesn't, and that's okay. Everybody's path is different. So I think the first sort of step is recognizing that it's okay to not feel that instant bond. So taking away the stress or the anxiety of, wait, why am I not feeling this?
Mhm.
It's okay to not feel that. And secondly, if you're feeling that you're feeling, okay, I'm not bonding necessarily, I'm sad, I'm anxious, that's also the beginning of a warning sign, right? So you can seek help earlier as opposed to ignoring it and let it get more pervasive or prolonged.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's totally okay. It's totally okay
Doc,
to feel that.
Doc, it says seek help. We are Africans, not just people of African descent. There is this culture of silence, that things that are mental, behavioral, all those kind of things are taboo. We don't have those conversations in public. So when you say seek help, I hear you, but I know that it is one of the hardest things for us to do as African women.
No, I agree with you. But the flip side to it is we have, as African people of African origin and as Africans, we have a very strong community. And
Mhm.
even living in the States now, I can see that community come with us, grow around us, just by virtue of, the people you come across with. And even
Mhm.
certain people who are not of African descent do have strong community ties and strong family ties. So you already have it, right? You're not struggling to build it, because that is a risk factor. Social support, lack of adequate social support is a risk factor for postpartum depression. Those who don't have it are more at risk for getting it. So if you have the support, you just then have to say, you know what, I need to get past this barrier or this expectation I put on myself or this cultural belief. You have to get past it and ask for it and actually accept it when someone offers it to you. Let me take
Mhm.
it so you can sleep. No, I want to. No, say yes, please. Let me go sleep. Accept the offer when it comes to. But we have to ask for it. That's the hard part. We have to ask.
And I do understand that a lot of the mothers who are watching now have already had children, but then we're going to talk, if you hang in there, we're going to talk about the long-term effects of some of these form of postpartum depression that we may not even be aware. So what are the first symptoms, Doc, to pick up on, to think, because like I said, when you have the baby, the first few months, even, there's lack of sleep, there is you trying to adjust to the baby, trying to do that bonding with the baby, and there's just so many things that, especially for some of us who had no support, like no family around to help us with the baby, there is just so many things that you have to figure out as a young woman on your own who's just had a baby, or even an older woman who's just had a baby. At what point do you realize that, okay, no, this is not just stress, this is something else? What symptoms do you pick up on? What are the symptoms?
So depression in itself, like we already talked about, right, is like you have lack of interest. So it's a fine line to walk between I'm sleepless, I'm tired, I'm emotionally, unstable, I'm happy, I'm sad, versus I don't have interest in my baby. I don't feel like I want to do this. I don't want to hold my baby. I just, when I hold my baby, all I'm doing is changing her diaper, put her down. Her cries irritates me constantly. All I want to do is sleep. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't feel like eating. So it's all these lack of interest symptoms that should sort of trigger a warning sign, because other ones are more like, I'm tired, I'm stressed, but I'm interested. Oh, what's baby doing? Is she sleeping okay? Is she eating okay? Versus, are you eating? Are you sleeping? Are you lack of interest in the baby's functioning, in the baby's social cries, social cues, or stress cries, like the baby's crying, and you're like, I'm not interested. The baby is smiling and laughing. I'm not interested.
Okay, that means you're sick at that point. That means something more serious is going on. Okay, Dr. Raissa is joining us from the US, from Washington State. And she is, like she told us, for those of you who are joining, thank you for joining. Welcome to the Woman Experience. Today we're talking about something that maybe for a lot of us, it's past, because we've had these children a long time ago and our children have grown up, but it's worth revisiting it, because when you do the research on postpartum depression, you see that a lot of us develop depression at that time without knowing, and then we've found somehow coping mechanisms, and although it's mild, but if you do a mental check, you would find that there's an underlying something that's quite not right. And so we really want Dr. Raissa, hi, she's back, to explain these things to us so that we can identify those symptoms. So, Doc, like I was telling you, a lot of our women in the audience already have had babies, but what I want to know is, if now that you're older, so let's say you have a 10-year-old child or something, right, how, and maybe you did have postpartum depression and it was just not diagnosed at that time, right, how do you identify the symptoms now? Because you would have found coping mechanisms at this point, right, but how could you now, if you really want to, if you think about it, what are some of the symptoms or signs that you should look out for to be able to, before you seek for professional help?
I think that's a very good question. And the one thing I want to point out is that if you've had postpartum depression before, you're at higher risk of getting it again. So that alone just tells you that that alone should mentally prepare you to say, okay, let me set myself up for success this time around, because I know I had it before. So if I was going to get pregnant again, I'm at the highest risk of all the moms who are going to be pregnant to have postpartum depression again, because I had it before. It's actually a 25% recurrence risk. So in that case, seeking help is really the major thing, but also setting up your social support network, your friends, your family, your acquaintances, our moms usually come and live with us and help us out with the babies, things like that. Like, setting yourself up for success and seeking people, asking people to help you, and telling your provider, your OB that you go to, tell them and be honest and say, I had it before. At least I think I had it before. I wasn't diagnosed, but it felt that way to me. So that way, as you progress through your pregnancy, they're going to screen you on at every visit you're at. There's mental health questionnaire screens that they ask you. And if any red flags come up, then they start adjusting or managing. It could initially really just be support systems, support groups with other moms who've had postpartum depression. It could be psychotherapy where you're talking to a counselor. It could be different things. It could even be medication, and that's okay.
Okay, so Doc, I'm saying, what are the, because like I said, you would have had some kind of coping mechanism at this point to manage your blues or whatever, your sad moments, So, but if you're coping, what are some of the first things to ask yourself 10 years down the line? What are some of the things that you could identify to let you know that something is not right?
You would be taking your internal temperature. So if you were to get that's a good question. If you were to get pregnant, right? Because you could be pregnant you could be depressed during your pregnancy and not only after you've had the baby.
Yeah.
So as you're pregnant, you'll be taking your internal temperature and, how do I feel about this? Am I excited about it? Am I sad? Am I not really interested in it? Those sort of things will give you red flags as you progress along the pregnancy. You don't want to wait till you've had the baby and then you're like, oh, I'm here again. I think knowing that you've had postpartum depression before,
suspecting, because suspecting.
If you suspected that you've had a postpartum depression and you plan for this pregnancy, and as you progress through it, sort of take your internal temperature, number one, and number two, tell your provider at your first visit that I think I had it in my last visit.
Oh, you mean your doctor? Your
doctor, yes. Okay. That even if you are not looking out for symptoms, every time you come in contact with someone who cares for you, at just a regular OB visit, they will ask and check to make sure that they're not missing anything. So someone is at least checking on you every time you're at the doctor's.
Okay. So I'm going to break it down even further.
Yes.
Myself, for example, since the first year of my oldest child, I had a lot of things that went wrong. I lost my dad when I was about almost 8 months pregnant, and all those things that come with losing your dad and not being able to go for a funeral or getting closure. And I found myself that I was crying nonstop. Actually, well, okay, let me just be honest. Let me tell my story because it may empower some woman. My GP actually told me that, luckily I met a female GP, and she actually did tell me that she thinks that I am depressed, and she was going to refer me further. But I turned her down. Oh yeah, I did, because I was scared. I didn't know I was like, okay, they will think I'm crazy. They may, because I came and I always read about stuff. They may come and take my baby. And so I was like, no, I'm fine. Someone's going to come and stay with me and I'm fine. But she did say that she thinks I am depressed, because this was like when my baby was like 3 months old. Okay. 1 year down the line, I'm still crying every day, but I just put it down to, well, my father has just died, and I didn't get to see my father being buried. So maybe that's why I feel so sad. It's not that depression that woman said. So this is me in denial. So 10 years down the line, I still cry. I was not necessarily a crier before, but I still have this really, well, me personally, I know myself. So I know that I've got that underlying sadness. But I have my coping mechanisms over the years. At least I was able to see a therapy, so I've kind of dealt with that. But for somebody who didn't get this, who didn't proactively seek help like me, or seek to understand what's going on, what would you tell that person?
I would tell that person that it's not, one, it's okay to ask for help, but beyond that, it's because I think what I'm hearing you say is we have this sort of inner core mentality of buckle down, you can get through it. You can just buckle down, you get through it. Just keep your head, keep moving. Like nothing's gonna keep me. I'm sad, okay, I'll keep moving. I'm happy, okay, I'll keep moving. I'm hungry, I'll keep moving. I hear that, right? I think as women, as women of African descent, we have to start teasing out life as in survival mode and quality of life, and start accepting that it's okay to have a good quality of life and not just survive. So teasing that out is hard because you feel guilty. Like, should I really? Why should I be thinking about myself? Why should I be feeling so? There are people who depend on me. I have to take care of my kids. I have to take care of my mom. I have to take care of my grandpa. I have to send money home. Things like that.
And things like, it's not a black woman. What is that? That's a white man thing. Why am I putting that in your head? And even when you try and talk to somebody, even in confidence, like, what's that? That white man, their thing, you know?
Right. And that's why I'm saying it's not okay to accept that anymore. It's not okay. It's okay to say these are the feelings I have, and try to strive for a life that gives you better quality. A better quality of life that you enjoy. If you enjoy drinking tea, drink tea. Don't feel guilty that you took the last bag of tea out of the packet because somebody else could have had it. Drink tea. So I think that's what I'm hearing you ask, and I think that would be my answer, is to say it's okay to move from survival mode, or at least try to seek a quality of life that you enjoy, and seeking it will require you to do some active things, like ask for help. Yes.
Like, so seeking it will require to do some active things like asking for help.
Yes.
I'm going to take you down. Thank you very much. Collie says, thanks for sharing your story. Our story is our power. And if you can help one person, we've done our job, right? For those who are joining, thank you. Welcome to the Woman Experience with Goretti. My beautiful guest is Dr. Raissa Fobi, who is joining us all the way from Washington State in America. I shouldn't confuse that with Washington, D.C. Yes, and we're talking postpartum depression, and I know that it's a topic that we don't want to hear, we don't want to talk about, but our mental health is so important. Women, as, again, nurturers, as mothers, our mental health is very, very important to our well-being. As much as we're all trying to have that six-pack, which is seeming for me personally, is now looking like a tall dream. But we should also think of our mental health, our mental state, because if we're not in optimum mental health, how do we be the nurturers? We cannot be nurturers at our optimum either. So it's a very important part in addition to our physical health. So that's the conversation we're having. And even if you think that you do not resonate with it, it's worth just staying, because you can share that information, the information that Dr. Raissa Fobi would share with us, you can share with some other woman and help her, because you just never know when there'll be need for that. So thank you very much for joining us. Let's take it now back to the children, doctor. How does being depressed or postpartum depression, how does it affect the child, or does it at all? Okay. Washington State in the United States seems to have internet issues like Cameroon, right? But anyway, so for all of you who are watching, again, I appreciate you. I just want you, if Ed has any one of us, if you are open to sharing your story, do you know somebody who's been depressed? Is depression, is this something that you talk about within your home or within your family or with your friends? Let us know. And have you been able to help somebody who's been depressed? What did you do? How were you able to identify the signs and all of that? Doc, I'm coming back to you. So how does it affect the child, the postpartum?
So, and I think this is another way, like you said, as nurturers, thinking about how what we're going through affects our child, I think that's another thing that would motivate us to want to do better and at least take care of ourselves. So just by virtue of the symptoms that a woman has when she's depressed, she's not interested in a lot of things. She then becomes uninterested in her baby. So she is not doing those things that allow her to bond with the baby. So holding the baby, touching baby outside, just functional touches, like change your diaper, feed you, put you down, versus rock.
Did I tell you guys that Doc was joining us from Washington State, America? Anyway, so let me read some comments. Collie says, many women confuse this with stress, but Raissa has explained that very well. Yes, a lot of the times when you're going through this and then you're telling your loved ones, you're telling your partner, you're telling your friends and family, they're just like, you're just stressed now. It's just normal. You're just stressed. It's just normal. But you know within you that no, these feelings that I have are not normal. But then, because again, there's that culture of silence around it. People don't want to hear it. People don't want to talk about it. You're left to try and figure this thing out on your own. And it results in some really, so it can start from mild. So mild depression, from what I read, let me share some of the knowledge that I learned. There is different kinds of stages of this postpartum depression. And it can start from mild depression all the way to the psychosis. Psychosis is when you go completely wacko and you do something really bad. But if you don't learn how to manage it, if you do not learn how to manage it when you're going through, if you cannot identify the symptoms and learn how to manage it, either by seeking therapy or by reading up on it or by talking to friends about it, it can really go wrong. So it is worth us, and I know it's heavy. We don't want to talk about it, but it's please share your experience. If you've been through this, if you've gone through this, if you know somebody who's been through this, it's so important that we share our experiences so that we completely eradicate this culture of silence around things like this, so that another woman feels that, okay, I'm not alone. I wasn't crazy. This happens to other women. So I'm waiting for you. You know how our show is. We learn via each other's shared experiences. So don't be shy. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Becky. Hi, Nicole. Thank you, guys. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you, guys, so much for joining. Doc is back.
Yes, sorry about that. The connection keeps going.
And now I've lost you. Okay, great. I can hear you again.
Right. Sorry. So I was saying with the effect on the baby, by virtue of the mom's lack of interest in everything, she's not interested in doing the activities that will allow her to bond with her baby. And that bond is important because the baby uses that bond as a basis to form relations in its mind to other human beings, and as a result, the rest of the world. So it's learning that his mother or her mother is uninterested in him, or his mother or his mother doesn't respond to his or her cries. The baby's doesn't develop adequate coping mechanisms, has a very low frustration tolerance. Babies even actually perform lower on cognitive tests. So if we're testing for things like speech, and you can see it as early as 2 months of age in moms who have postpartum depression, because the moms are not actually, because they're not interested, they're not actually vocalizing or talking to their babies. And because the babies are not hearing that, or baby specific, cool, calm, cute things we do with babies, because they're not hearing it, they're not being mentally stimulated, they're not developing those things. And if you test it cognitively, those babies will not do as well as babies who had moms without postpartum depression. So there is short-term effects, and there's also long-term effects. So in moms who have had depression for a long-standing period of time, especially moms who don't have another support system like a partner or a mother or somebody else that can actually pick up the slack and help them care for those babies, so that the baby getting that stimulation, those babies end up having at the age of infants, when they're up to a year of age, toddlers, and even as teenagers, they have more, what's the word I'm looking for? behavior disturbances. They act out more. They're more likely to not be able to manage stress very well. So things like that. So there are long-term effects of postpartum depression on the babies, on toddlers in adolescent years. And it's something we don't really think about.
Yeah.
Right? We don't really think about it because you're like, you're a baby. What do you really know? I mean, I'll get over it and we'll be fine. But they're lingering effects.
And on the mom, what are the long-term effects? I would just want to read this before you answer that. Lord's Favor Leke says, children need a happy environment. She gets her first lessons from mama, but if mama is not talking to the baby, smile, play, and fondles the baby, it will affect the child negatively. And when the child grows and does not smile, we feel bad. And I mean, see, my son was a lot of the comments we had when we had the boy was, he why this is the only baby they have ever met that doesn't smile. When many people met him, they always said he didn't smile, and he didn't smile until he was like consciously smiled until he was about 2 months old. I'm talking about my oldest son. And obviously, I, as a mom, you want to find out why your child is this way, and it is so very clear it's because of the stress I went through, and my issues after my father passed. That I know that for a fact that affected my son, because he didn't smile. You know how newborn babies are like. Mine had a frown from birth. He frowned. One of my husband's friends was always like, how's that frowning baby of yours? That baby doesn't smile. And he really didn't smile. Yeah. So I get exactly what she's saying. Oh, hi, Rosie. So Doc's internet is acting out. If I tell you that it wasn't acting out like that earlier, I'm sure you'll say great is not serious. But yeah, it wasn't. But here we go. She's back.
Yes.
Hi.
Oh, so sorry. My bars look like the internet connection is great, but I apologize. What I was saying is some really good points about your son and your father passing. Because life events, like multiple life events happening to you around the same time, actually make you at increased risk for postpartum depression.
Yeah.
You have a child, you move, you get married, someone passes, you get divorced, you lose a job. All those things, they're all stressors. Makes you more susceptible to having postpartum depression. And the good news is, though, the effects on the baby, because you had asked me the effects on the mom.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch back to the effects on the kids before I answer that. The effects on the children are somewhat reversible, or can be managed or taken away if there's another supportive partner that provides that stimulation to the child. And then there are also programs that help the mother and the baby bond. So psychotherapy, psychodynamic psychotherapy can help the mother and the baby sort of navigate that relationship.
Okay, so sorry. Break it down. Psychotherapy,
Sorry. So the basis of it is where mom is going through therapy and she's
Hi guys. Oh, she's back.
Mom is going through therapy, and she is learning what her expectations, her dealing with her emotions, learning how her parenting skills, her interaction with her baby. She's learning all these things, and then she's literally applying them and taking care of her baby. So it's like an active session where even though you don't feel like doing it, even though you're not interested in doing it, someone is sort of walking you through it. So like fake it till you make it type thing, where you're doing the action and seeing the response of the baby, and then that makes you, oh, okay. And I keep doing it, sort of fake it till you make it, and then you start feeling it, something like that. So go ahead.
So on the child, if you didn't address it when the child was younger, and then he starts acting out as a teenager, can you address it at that point?
Yeah, you totally can address it at that point. It would be maybe a situation where the child goes to therapy, either by himself, but probably with his mom would make more sense, so that you're both working through it at the same time. it's never too late, in my opinion. It's never too late. And this is something that we don't like talking about as humans in general, but I think as Black people, as African people, we don't like talking about mental health. But it's important. It's here with us, and we have to make sure that we are mentally healthy in order to be able to do anything else.
I second that. It is here with us. As much as we don't want to hear about it, we don't want to talk about it, it's here with us. And if someone comes to you and opens their heart, because literally that's what you're doing, and to try and tell you that, look, I'm not coping, even if it's not just postpartum depression, like I'm just not coping generally with life, I just feel like it's worth listening. Because guys, mental health, especially for us in the West, mental health is, they say 1 in 10 women in Europe, in the UK, this was the UK statistics. In America, it says 1 in 5 women would experience some form of depression. I saw that on.
Yeah, you're right. And you had mentioned about sort of feeling, always feeling sort of sad throughout. And that's another type of depression, truly, where it's dysthymic. You're just generally have a low mood. And that can go on for years and years and years. And like I said, we're used to just sort of being in that survival mode, and we identify it as, you know what, this is life. I have to go through it. So teasing out, I know it's life, but I can feel better through life. So let me seek better, I think is the thing that can come out at the end of postpartum depression.
And I think at this point, I just really want to reiterate the fact again, and because this is something that's very dear to my heart, and because of my personal experiences, if we can just take away that cloak of judgment and actually listen, because a lot of the times, if you've said it 1 or 2 times and everyone around you is being dismissive, you feel shame.
That's true.
You really do. I felt shame, and I would not. So I think I feel like, I'm talking to you, and I feel like I'm talking to my therapist again, and I feel like, let me just open my heart, honestly, because after you've had that conversation with your therapist, you feel a bit better. But it's true. There is that shame where you're telling people, I'm not coping. People are just thinking, that girl likes to complain a lot. She likes to complain a lot. But they're not listening to the pain that you're trying to convey. So I think what I'm trying to say here is, my people, when your friend or whoever is in your midst, you're a group of men, some woman is just telling you, don't just tire me this time, I don't just tire me. Listen to what she's saying. Just have an open mind and listen to what she's not saying by saying, I don't tire me this life, because there could be a proper issue there. And just a kind word from you, some support, some like, okay, come Goretti, let's talk about this. What's going on? Could just be the catalyst to the healing that she needs. And I'm going to read some comments. Is the doctor back? I'm going to read. She says, so true. Cheryl says, so true. Mental health is very important. And Lord's Favor says, and it may slow down the cognitive development of the child. Like the doctor said, the brain is one of the few things that the more you use, the more you use it, the more it gets sharpened. Let's learn how to listen without judging to help the people around us, especially when they are at their lowest.
That's very well.
And Judith says, Goretti, you're so correct about the judgment. A lot of people don't open up because they get told to suck it up. Sometimes they say you're just a complainer. Oh, yes, Judith, I know that so well.
Very right. Hi, Judith.
Yeah, and King says, hi, King. That denial and shame aspect is very much in line with our African culture. We are taught to just suck it up and deal with it, sadly. Again, that's it. That culture of silence around anything that has to do with our mental health. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear about it.
No, nobody wants to hear about it. And it's destigmatization, right? We have to tell everyone and know it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to feel sad sometimes. It's okay. I mean, there was a time when I thought I was, like you say, you think you are, you probably were, and you find different coping mechanisms. And sometime last year, I split up with my significant other at that time. I had an 8-month-old. It was just a lot of turmoil.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. I'm lucky that I had my mother with me here at the time. I had colleagues
Where my prayer warriors at? It's time. We have to hit that drum. Hopefully she'll join us. She'll join us in a minute. I don't know what's going on with her internet. This is not how it was, honestly, yesterday, nor earlier on today. So
I
Doc
know.
is back.
We've been sitting for like 30 minutes talking and it was okay.
I know so well.
But I say it to say that when I expressed that I was having trouble, or I needed help, or I was happy that I was met with people who said, "Okay, how can I help you? Okay, how can I help you?" So I thank God for that. If anyone is in a situation where they're asking for help in their close circle and they're not getting it, please ask outside your circle. It's okay. Ask outside your circle.
Yeah. Whew. Okay, let's lighten it up.
Yeah.
No, but let's not lighten it up. Let's go through it. Let's have the conversation and help each other and just heal. If anybody's got any questions for Doctor, please just type it in and then we'll go on with it. We'll carry on with it. So, Doc, I was going to talk about something that I found when I was doing some research on you while we wait for questions to come. Tell me about this, Beyond Challenges. You're an author as well, or a co-author.
Yes, I am.
So she co-authored a book called
Beyond Challenges, 15 physicians who came together to pretty much share their experiences, right? Like you're talking about in your current.
So those are the ladies, right?
Yes, there we are. And our stories, each person's story sort of touches on a different challenge, something you went through, medical school, life, loss, money, education. We failed again, you know. How did we get through that? How did we overcome that? Get to where we are today and to just really share and support each other. So it was a beautiful experience. Yes.
That's amazing. So is the book still available online?
It is. And actually on my website where you see it underneath on the banner, www.phobidoctors.com, you can get a copy there. Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So all of you are Cameroonians, all the physicians.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what I found interesting was that you come from a long line of doctors.
I do. I think that was our blessing or curse. I don't know, that God put in our family. But there's in many different fields, pharmacy, you know, they're just
Dr. Fobi.
Hearing, yes.
And King Ready, so she says, great read, highly recommend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is baby blues the same as postnatal depression?
Hi, Manny. Yes, it is. It's the same as postnatal depression. With the slight sort of the difference I would make is if people say you have baby blues, people would tend to think it's normal. Like, oh, you've had a baby, you're fine, right? But don't overlook it is what I'm highlighting. Don't overlook it and say, well, I have baby blues, because that really could be postpartum depression, and you don't you want to be able to address that.
Okay, because I kept reading about and hearing a lot about it's just the baby blues. You should be able to separate the baby blues from the depression.
And I think the key thing there would be loss of interest, just loss of interest in your baby.
So, you know, sometimes, so if you're just feeling really sad, crying all the time, or at the slightest thing, you know, when you're watching movies, you cry, or you're just feeling really tired, but you are just going with emotions. If baby needs a diaper change, you give baby a diaper change. If baby needs a nap, you try and put them to sleep. Or if you get frustrated when they are taking too long to sleep, but obviously because you know you can still understand that, oh, it's a baby, I should be a bit patient. Is that baby blues, or that's depression?
That's not depression, because you are, even though you're going through the motions, you're emotionally connecting.
Right.
Emotionally connecting. You're, oh, baby needs a diaper change. I know your baby, you're sad. I get it. But mama is exhausted. Like, I need a second. But okay, fine. I'll get you settled. But mama, so it's not depression. You could call it baby blues. But you are you are at risk, right? And you don't want to ignore the things that you need to do when you feel stressed, so that you don't eventually become depressed. So the things that will help you there are sleep and sleep. So when baby sleeps, you sleep. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
exercise, and because your hormones are all over the place, and
Mm-hmm.
actually being kind and patient with yourself. It is okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, baby. You'll be fine. You stay down for a second. I'll put you in your bed. You've had a diaper change. You've eaten. You all you're doing is crying. Lay down in the crib. You'll be okay. Let me walk away for a second and take a breath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I'm just taking all that information in. Thank you, Lord's Favor Leke, who says, you both are wonderful. I like when people speak out the reality. When we tell our story the way it is, it brings hope and encouragement. Oh, thank you very much for your participation today. Thank you very much. And for some people are joining again. Hi, Nesla. Hi, Georgina. Marie, thank you guys for joining. We are on the Woman Experience with Goretti and our beautiful guest, Dr. Raissa Fobi, and we're talking postpartum depression, the effects, and on us, the mothers, and the babies as well. I don't know if you're frozen. Are you frozen? Okay, no, you're not. You're not. You're not. So, how does this affect the spouse or the significant other?
Again, the significant other is affected because because the mom has lost interest. She is not interacting with her significant other, and then the sole job of really parenting falls on the significant other. So it puts a strain on their relationship as a couple. And it also puts a strain on that parent and the baby's relationship, because for all intents and purposes, he's providing sole parentship, if you will.
So,
Um,
how can he help?
how can he help is because he now knows, or he now sees now because he now knows what postpartum depression looks like. If he sees that his partner, or if she sees that her partner is going through this, then saying, okay, I think this is what is going on with you need help. And that, by identifying the problem, they are more likely to be less frustrated. You know what I mean? As
Mm-hmm.
you're not interested in the baby. Oh, I know you're going through something. I'm more patient, type thing. So it takes away a lot of the anxiety and a lot of the stress from the partner. No, on the partner's end, knowing, okay, it's something. It's a mental illness. It's a mood disorder. We can manage it. We're managing it while you're taking care of yourself. Or while I'm helping you take care of yourself, I can bear the responsibility of caring for our child till you're able to.
Okay, what are some everyday things that the person can do? So if he sees that maybe whatever, you can't get out of bed, what can they do to just little things that could help, little uh, techniques or tactics that could help?
Would be to that's a good question. I would say keeping a routine would help the partner. So getting out of bed at a certain time, go take a shower at a certain time, eat, go out for a walk, exercise. Or those things are all likely to elevate mood, and promoting some bonding or some interaction with the baby, and not making it a stressful interaction where she
Mm-hmm.
feels like she has to.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping a routine, um, I think that would help. And most importantly, seeking help outside your what you think you can do. So if it's medication that you need, you start medication. If it's
Mm-hmm.
a psychologist or psychotherapy that you need, start it. There's no shame in using any of that.
Lord's Favor says, African men hardly identify such. They'll say you are angry. No, they'll say, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why you get up? Just get up. Rosie says, how can an individual recognize they've got postpartum depression? She joined us a bit late, so if you can please just explain that
Oh,
again.
no, not a problem at all. We were talking about recognize it in yourself. If you are if you feel sad and you're losing interest in your baby and your baby's activities and your baby's stress and social cue, like smile, laugh, things like that, you're losing interest in all the daily activities that you would normally do. That's
Mm-hmm.
key. Yeah.
Do men ever suffer from some form of postnatal depression?
Yes, they do. Yeah, there's a small percentage that do. And
Okay.
there was a study I was looking at that actually said fathers who had children, I think under 14 years of age or something like that, about 1 to 2% of them did report depression. But I didn't dig into it really because I was looking more specifically around the mom. But yes, fathers do too.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's shocking to me.
I was pretty surprised too. But yeah, they do. Mhm.
Wow. Imagine a situation where the woman is depressed and the man is depressed as well. The poor baby. Oh wow. I really King is saying, oh really? Yeah, right. King, me too. I didn't see that coming at all. Wow. Well, doctor, I mean, thank you so much. Is there any other information or anything we haven't touched on this that you want to add?
I think the biggest thing for me is I realized that I need to set realistic expectations for myself. I need to set you have to set realistic expectations for yourself. I'm not the mom who will, my child will have 3 outfit changes for the day. In the morning, she wears this, her hair is set. No, please. If you woke up, you ate, you wear one dress for the day, and you're healthy and playing around, we're good. If you do laundry once a week, like set realistic expectations. Don't try to be what your neighbor is. Don't try to be what your mother was. Make
Yeah.
it work for you. That sort of takes away the anxiety around being perfect. No one is perfect. Do what works for you and your family.
And Africans, listen. And just if someone's talking, listen. I think what I didn't get was no one was willing to listen, and I actually thought maybe I was
Yeah.
imagining it all in my head. But I know now, what I know now was I know it was just because nobody was listening. Maybe because again, that culture of silence around everything mental health, or maybe just because they themselves were clueless. But we should listen to when a woman is complaining, even post years after having had this baby. It's like where we find ourselves now, especially a lot of us who are watching this, is you could still have this underlying sadness, which is depression, which from what I read, doc, I'm sure you can add to that, which is, they say, if your resting base is sadness, something's not right. So you know how you can smile in front of you. So I can come on the show and I smile and I see happy. You see me at parties and I'm happy and I'm all cheerful. But if I'm honest to myself, when I'm just by myself and my resting base is that tinge of sadness, identify it, do a mental check, just do a check and try and identify that if you have that, something's wrong. Something is definitely wrong. Seek help. Seek help. And I know that therapy is not our thing, but we have to start making it our thing.
Yes, it does. And the one thing I did not mention is that usually postpartum depression is non-psychotic, meaning that you're still in touch with reality, right? In very rare cases, it can become psychotic or it can become suicidal, where the woman wants to end her life and actually end her child's life. And that is that is scary to me. So I like knowing that because it then gives me more willingness to be very aware of very, very tiny symptoms because I don't want to get there, for example. So maybe that helps someone say, oh, if this can get to that end, let me make sure that on this end, I'm very aware and I'm looking and I'm trying and I'll seek help early such that it doesn't get that bad.
Yeah. I mean, once I shouldn't tie it, but if you look at postnatal depression, postpartum depression, as it's a form of depression, it's the same kind of thing where it can flip, like in the man we saw recently in our community, where a man would flip and do something that dangerous. If you don't deal with it and it just continues to build, it may blow up in your 50s, in your 60s.
Right.
And so it is something that we need to address, especially if we identify, and it's worth again doing that mental check. Yeah. And understanding your triggers,
And
understanding your triggers. Because that's one thing the therapist told me.
yeah.
She was like, okay, look around you. What triggers these moments for you? And cut that out. And that included human beings, and I cut them out. In my case, because she was like, okay, look for your triggers. What are the things that push you back there? You need to cut out those things from your life, be it human or non-human. Just find it, understand your triggers. So it is worth seeking help, because if you seek help, there is a lot of tools that can be prescribed that you can use to manage your blues.
It's true. Yes, just figuring out your triggers, realizing that as people of color, we're more at risk for
Why are we more at risk though?
we're more at risk really in developing countries and people of color, really just because of access to screening and access to mental health care. So it doesn't necessarily occur at a higher rate amongst us as compared to Caucasians or Hispanics, but we're just more at risk because we have less access to care and less access to mental health care. Access and seeking, right? We don't have access, and then we don't also seek. So recognizing that we're more at risk, and if we are more at risk, we're it's more likely to sit and percolate and just sort of simmer, and then when it shows itself, it's like this big massive thing which we don't want to get to. Right?
Yeah. I'm gonna read. Judith says, yes, Goretti, some people actually hear but don't listen, which is so frustrating. Tell me about it. Even sometimes I'm guilty of that. I'm listening to respond, not necessarily understanding. Quinta says, this is for real. We Africans still don't know how to deal with mental issues, unfortunately. And we're all saying this, and we're saying this. We need to encourage each other. We need to have these conversations, no matter how awkward, no matter how cringe-worthy or whatever, but we still have to have this conversation so that we help. We really need to, because if statistics say 1 in 10 women of all races, not Black women, if statistics say 1 in 5 women in the US of all races, and then the statistics say again, like you've just mentioned, that women who have less access, so poorer women or
lower income,
people in lower income brackets are more are more at risk. Then it is something that we have to talk about. No matter how uncomfortable it makes us, we have to find a way to talk about it. Quinton says access to healthcare is so true. And Stephanie says, I remember when I had my last son, it was just about a year after losing my second son. And I couldn't sleep at night, or whenever he was sleeping, I'll keep checking his heartbeat every 5 minutes. It made me stressed and anxious. Was that postpartum depression? I think Doc, I'm going to wait for Doc to come back to that. Dr. Bibiana Bonsu says, thank you, Anu and Dr. Raissa, for sharing this information. My daughter wants to go into medicine. What advice can you give to her? I'm so proud of you, ladies. Doc, are you back? Move your head so I know that you're back. Okay, you're not back. Clementine says, on the other hand, many have decided to bury their sorrow because those you think you can turn to are your worst nightmares. Instead of supporting you, they find ways to judge you and put you down. We're supposed to be each other's keeper. Oh, my dear sister, I know exactly what you're saying. They'll laugh at you behind closed doors. They see that one that likes to complain. My sister, when you know it's real for you, you would ignore that and look for and seek help. You would really ignore that because your sanity depends on it.
Oh, yeah.
So I was asking you about Stephanie's. Did you read Stephanie's?
Right. She said, was that postpartum depression? I think that was more, and I'm not a psychologist, but that sounds to me more like post-traumatic stress disorder. You lose a child because she's interested in her child, right? She is really super anxious about her second son. And that makes sense because she did lose her first child. So I would not ignore it. I would totally seek help for that. And talking it through, and maybe she's reliving what happened with her baby, her first baby, such that she's hyper vigilant about this current son. So I don't think it sounds like postpartum depression. I think it sounds more like post-traumatic stress disorder. But again, I'm not a psychologist.
You doctors are always like that. You never want to go and not speak on your specialty line, but you know it, but you just you just don't. It's try find that.
Interesting how we say it.
You're just trying to protect yourself from lawsuits. Manyi Anabo says, "Oh, so proud of you both for this insightful conversation. Thank you so much, Manyi." And AC says, "I think Stephanie was also grieving as well, right?"
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Brigitte says, "Great topic." Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Honestly, thank you all very much for sticking with it and listening to it. And I hope that with the information that we've shared and Dr. Raissa has shared and the questions she's answered, right, that if we see a sister who is saying those words that we now recognize, mm-hmm, I'm just tired. I'm tired. That baby's like, mm-hmm, try and listen to what she is not saying and try and be that listening ear that she needs at that moment. Doc, any last words, please?
No, anytime you guys have questions for me, you know how to get me on social media. I'm totally
yes,
to answer them.
Definitely. So if you look at the banner that's running across your screen, she's Dr. Raissa N. Fobi. Her Instagram and YouTube are the Fobi Doctors. Website www.thefobidoctors. But her Facebook page is her personal name, Raissa
Ngebi
Fobi. Yes. Raissa Ngebi Fobi. I will leave that at the top of the post, right, when I share it.
And I went a bit more in depth on postpartum depression. I wrote a blog about it. So if you want to see it on the website as well. So if you want more information, you can go there and get it, or just text me.
Oh yeah, and she does. Oh, there's a lot of things that she does on Facebook. She has the weekly check-ins that she does every Mondays, and on Fridays she does short educational issues. So it's really worth adding her or following her. They don't necessarily have to add you as a friend. One can just follow, right? So exactly. Follow Dr. Raissa Ngebi Fobi on Facebook, and there's a lot we're going to learn from her, and there's a lot of resources that she also provides for us, and I really like that your weekly check-in. I really enjoy. So thank you very much for that and for sharing. Someone told me,
so exciting. I'm having you. So wonderful. Yeah.
Someone told me after 9 years that she knew I was struggling when I had my second son.
And then
oh wow.
Told
you after 9 years.
9 years.
She could have told you then. I don't know how you took that. I was like, you waited 9 years, really?
Now, like, how is that supposed to help me now?
Exactly. When I needed you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's that culture of silence. Again, we need to break that, please. We really need to listen when people are crying and trying to tell us their pain. We really need to have an open ear and listen to the nuances of what they are not saying. Mm-hmm. I recommend watching her daily updates. Yes, please do. You have to follow Dr. Raissa Ngebi Fobi on Facebook, and like Judith says, I highly recommend watching her daily updates. They really are insightful.
Doc, thank you so much, Brady. This has been thank you for this experience. I'm glad I could share and learn. Thank you for sharing your story. That was so touching. It makes me more conscious of the fact that we are a sisterhood, we are a human race, and we
really are just that. We are a sisterhood, and that's what we're trying to achieve on this platform. And I'm so grateful for the people who tune in every week, because what you're doing here unknowingly, because I always get the feedback, people send messages, your questions, your support, your experiences, it's helping so many women. It is helping so many women, and I just want to thank you. Doc is back, and let's just answer Marie's question before we go. She says, if you have postnatal depression with your first child, can you have it again? Which is, I think she joined us late, so if you can answer that.
In fact, you are at high risk, in fact, highest, because your 25% time. Your recurrence risk is 25%, meaning in every 4 pregnancies, you will this pregnancy, right? In every 4th pregnancy, you're likely to have it again. So you're just at higher risk of getting it. Yeah.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you. This has been so educational. Thank you very, very much. I've learned so much, and I hope we can do this again in the future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That'll be exciting. Yeah, let me know, and we'll come up with other topics to chit chat about.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
So, final word for your guests. Goodbye.
Happy Juneteenth. And
what's Juneteenth? I know what it is, but what's Juneteenth for those who are not in the state?
So 2 years after slavery was abolished, the last, I think in Texas, was sort of the last state that told the last set of slaves that they were free. So they've been free for 2 years and they didn't know. And the declaration was actually read to them on that day and say, you're free, and disbanded slavery. So it's sort of commemorating that, 19th of June. Yeah.
In the US.
In the US, yes.
Yeah. All right. So happy Juneteenth for those who are joining us from the US. Yes. You guys should eat some cake. All right, Doctor. Thank you. Right. Just stay backstage while I do a close. But thank you so much again. Duchess Maureen says, I have a friend who suffered from postpartum depression about 20 years ago and has never been the same till date. She's forever suffering from insomnia and restlessness. Yes, I identify with all these things, because if you haven't been through it, haven't been through it, you just don't, like they say, if you haven't walked in someone's shoes, you don't know what they're feeling. Postpartum depression is real. It may mask itself as a woman who complains, according to you. It may mask itself as a woman who is constantly unhappy. That's how it may mask itself to you, but it is just a woman crying out for help, probably not even understanding the emotions that she's going through. And so it is worth, I think with everything mental health, is worth offering a listening ear. A listening ear goes a long way, because a lot of the times when someone's hurting, and like I've shared my experience with you, all you just want is for somebody to tell you, you're not crazy. It's okay. It's okay. There is help. I'm here if you need me. That's all you're looking for. Someone to tell you that, no, you're not crazy. That thing that they say you're complaining. No, you're just not complaining. Something is really wrong. And I identify that, and I'm here for you if you need me. That's the message we're sending out today on this topic of postpartum depression. A lot of us are suffering. The statistics say in the UK, 1 in 10 women will have some form of mental health. So for all of us watching, if you can recognize 10 names, 1 of you is suffering from some form of depression, and it's just not saying it, because that culture of silence, again, kind of prohibits us from speaking out on anything mental. So let's break that silence. Let's break that stigma. Let's talk. Let's listen. And let's talk. If you're going through it, find 1 person, find 2 people, just find somebody and talk to it, because the first step is speaking out and acknowledging it. Thank you guys so much. It's Friday. I'm going to dance in my living room, watch a movie, and just party with my children. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening as well. And thank you. I'll see you next week, Wednesday, with Brigitte Mafopa, our author. And it's going to be another exciting evening. So thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful weekend. And please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube page, The Goretti Experience. Please subscribe and like our page, The Goretti Experience, our Facebook page. Please do like our page. It helps, it motivates, it encourages us to keep doing this. So thank you. And you have Dr. Fobi's details that are running through. So I highly recommend you following Dr. Fobi. Just remember this, the Fobi doctors, you shouldn't forget that, the Fobi doctors, just Google that. I'm sure all her social media handles will come up, and then you can follow her on those. So thank you guys so much. It's been such a pleasure. And any questions, if you follow her, just send them directly to Dr. Fobi, and I'm sure she'll be very, very happy to help you. Anything that she can help with, just share, you can share with me, and I'll find somebody that can help or that can answer that. Because right now I have an arsenal of people and professionals waiting to come on the show, which I'm very excited about. So I'll see you on Wednesday. Have a very, very lovely weekend. Thank you.